I think I became an artist when I just started drawing.
I don't know what counts as artists because little preschool drawings, I guess, are counted as art.
Well, I don't know if I could be classified as an artist. I went to a performing arts school from kindergarten to 8th grade, but I didn't really like performing arts, or I wasn't good at it. I realized I really liked directing, so I started making films.
I became an artist ever since I was very little. I picked up a pencil and then I started doodling.
How do you become an artist? I think everyone is an artist. I think they show it in different ways, and my way is just photography.
I started when I wanted to make skateboarding videos with my friends in high school. I did that for a little while, and then my camera broke, and then I got a film camera, which gave me a little bit more creative control at the time, because DSLRs that did video, that kind of thing, wasn't really around, so to do the kind of work that I wanted to do would have been a lot more expensive. But with a film camera, which cost less than $100, I was able to do the kind of work that I wanted to do.
I don't know, I felt like I was just bored one day and I wanted to make something, and so I started making things. I mean, I started making movies when I was in middle school, and I was drawing. From there I got into photography and I went to school for filmmaking.
I like art because it's fun and it's enjoyable, and I enjoy making things that other people can look at and admire.
I don't know, I really like art because it gives me a sort of medium to express myself in. Sometimes I'll do a lot of vent art if I'm feeling emotional.
I don't know. It's something that I feel good when I do it. It helps me express things or create things that I don't know how to make otherwise. So I find it's not necessarily something that I want to do, it's just something that I feel that happens with me.
I feel like art is good for me because sometimes I feel like I have a hard time expressing myself with words, and I feel like I can express myself a lot better visually through images that I create or just going out and capturing things. For me, art is just a way of communicating more complex ideas.
I started taking film photography last year. I got introduced to my friend, but I've been taking pictures since maybe freshman year of high school.
I've been doing art, visual art, photography, and video work for probably 13 years now.
When do you start? I guess high school, probably.
I think my favorite type of art would either be drawing or animating. I think I really like animating because you see moving pictures and you can marvel how hard you worked on the animation and drawing.
I do just like doodling, but I also sort of like filming and stuff here, and I definitely like working with computers and doing some more art based on technology. But then I also find physical art really interesting, where you're painting and stuff.
I like both digital and film photography. There are things I like about one and not the other. I got my first digital camera basically so I could learn different techniques with photography because it gives you an immediate feedback. And once you cover the cost of actually paying for a digital camera, you can take thousands of pictures and it's not any extra money. So it becomes a lot more liberating in that way and lets you be a little more experimental. On the other hand, film photography is really fun because working in the darkroom is really, really fun. The older cameras, they just operate and they feel a different way, so it's kind of a different shooting experience, which I really like. And then also, especially now when we're so used to having everything immediately, there's something satisfying about having to wait for something to go through a whole process to get a final product.
I think I'd like to learn deeper within filming and also maybe sculpting.
Editing, I really want to be good at that, and maybe animation.
I've always been interested in music, but it's not something that I have. Anytime I meet a musician or I see somebody making music, that's always amazing to me because that's something that I feel I could never do, and it's such a powerful tool.
I think what I would change in my art would probably be less sloppiness, because sometimes when I draw I don't really do a sketch before and I just kind of put it down, but I want to try to reinforce my drawings, I guess.
I'd probably just draw more because although I really like working with computers, sometimes I regret not being able to have a really consistent drawing style, and some days I can draw really well and some days it's I'm back to the stick figure when I'm 2.
Well, I wish I could be better at camera work. I always forget about shutter speed and all this technical stuff, and then I forget it. I'm not the best, and my hands are shaky, so I wish I could be better at the camera.
I think stop being so scared to reach out farther. Don't limit myself to things. I think I play things pretty safe because I like better safe than sorry. So sometimes I take more risks, and don't be afraid to go out there and do things, because usually I'm shy to go out there and take a picture for people.
There's times when I'll have waves where I don't make art, and it takes me a while to start making art again. I wish sometimes that I would get out of those ruts.
If I could change anything with my art, I don't know exactly what I would change. I mean, the thing that I really particularly enjoy about art itself is that it's a powerful communicative tool for people who don't necessarily know how to communicate any other way, or for people who have things to say that can't be communicated another way. If I could change anything with my art, I guess it would be to make art more accessible and to have more people be able to make what they're trying to make and communicate in that way, or communicate anyway, really.
To follow through on projects, and the first few projects that I ever did I didn't finish, and it just brought me down and made me feel like I couldn't accomplish. Also, plan ahead.
If I could start all over again, I would probably talk to more artists. I feel like a lot of times I kind of go off and do my own thing, and that leads to me learning things the hard way, and also being ignorant of certain perspectives or certain types of art that later when I come to find them, I really enjoy them. But having missed it for so long, I feel like there's a lot that I could have learned quicker and easier, and it would have enhanced my own work and my understanding of other people's work.
Well, I really like Disney.
I like Vivian Mayer. She's a film photographer. She died. She didn't get discovered till she grew up. I found her out by Mario because she did candids of people.
Like filmmakers, I really like Kubrick or Paul Thomas Anderson, Ansel Adams, and Edward Weston.
As far as still photography and video goes, or film, I don't particularly have a single artist that I like. However, I do enjoy really looking at the differences in generations of artists, and I'm finding that a lot of newer artists today and younger artists are really kind of moving away from what a lot of more traditional and classical artists have been doing. Things are getting a lot more conceptual and a lot more thoughtful, less focused on technique necessarily, and more on meaning and message, which is something that has always been around, but previously there had been this kind of obsession with technical perfection and that kind of thing. And now, especially with digital cameras and technology being what it is, making a perfect image is easy. So there has been less emphasis on that and more on the substance of a piece or a collection of pieces. I search the internet constantly. I'm always looking at images and always looking at what people are saying about their images. And I find that seeing those differences and seeing what's coming of younger generations is really, really interesting and particularly inspiring, especially around the Bay Area. There's a lot of really good art around here.
Follow through, plan ahead, leave yourself some extra time.
Just keep making movies. Really don't let anything stop you. Just need to make it, even if you're not quite sure or you're not satisfied with things. As long as you get through that first draft, you're able to see what's wrong with it, and then you can change it. Don't get through that first draft and you feel like you just want to perfect everything, it might stop you.
Don't be cringy. Don't be cringy.
There goes my hero.
Don't be cringy.